welcome to VO's Journey live stream. It is Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. I want to welcome everybody from Instagram, from Twitter, from Facebook, from YouTube. Thank you all for being here. Super excited. Today we've got a fantastic show. It's interesting because we all go through different moments in our career, right? I mean, from anything, from no matter what we do, whether it's voiceover or not, and we start at certain places, and as we grow, we build up, and it's definitely seeing the world at different places, right? So I have an incredible Facebook group, and we were talking this morning about. I posted a post about managing, or actually, no, I posted something that I asked, what is everybody's biggest challenge right now? You know what I mean? What is challenging them the most? And, it's not surprising that most of the answers were revolving around how to manage voiceover with a full-time job, how to manage your career and something else, Yeah. By the way, thank you for bringing that up. I think they went to lunch, but been doing my bathroom downstairs right below me. So they've been doing a remodel of the bathroom, which they're doing incredible. So I'm really excited about that. They should be done in the next 2 days, I think. So really excited. But anyways, I think they took a break, which is good. And the cat is not meowing as much right now because he's in the other room. So that's a good thing. But anyways, getting back to managing your time is hard. I mean, managing voiceover and a full-time business, a voiceover and a full-time job, it's not easy. And I wanted to talk about this today. I wanted to, really dive into it. Real quick, before I get into that, though, I want to mention something to you about, that's right, about the new Fiverr Elite group that I have going on. I'm super excited about it. We meet every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I've got let me see if I can get this here put up here. I've got a thing down here. I'm going to post this in the. Here we go. There's the. I don't know if that's going to go. I think it might go to Facebook and YouTube. I'm not sure if it posts on Twitter or not. But anyways, there'll be a link to the group. I'd love for you to be a part of it. We're going to discuss how to grow your Fiverr business. I've been doing Fiverr for a couple years now. I'm very fortunate that I have done very well, and I continue to do very well, and this month has been insanely good. So, I want to start sharing that with you guys. But anyways, yes, so diving back into what we were talking about, managing your voiceover business, managing a full-time job, and then managing your family. And when I say managing, sometimes it feels like we're just holding on. So I want to kind of rewind and go back a couple of years when I first started voiceover, and I knew nothing about it, and I was working, from 6:30 until about 6 p.m. Then I would come home, and I have 2 small children. They were younger then too, so I would come home. My wife was getting home around 6 too, so we would both get home. We had to pick the kids up from daycare, had to bring them home, and had to make dinner, have some time with each other, and then the kids had to go to bed. And then if I wanted to see my wife at all, I had to spend a little time with her before it was bedtime. And I want to start off first by saying that there's no hack. There's no trick. They're being honest with you. There is no easy way to do this. There's no easy way to make all of this work. When I realized that, how much time I actually had, I decided that I was going, because I was really excited, right? I was excited to do voiceover. So I decided that I was going to dive in and start at 10 p.m. every night and I was going to just grow, that way. I was gonna be a late night warrior, right? I was gonna start at 10 p.m., work until 1, 2 p.m. as much, or 2 a.m. as much, and every single night I was gonna try that. I also had to put up my booth and take down my booth every single night because we had a really small house at the time, and it was one of those things where my kids, I had my daughter was my daughter was about 2 at the time, and she just turned 3, and my son was 8, those 8 or 9, and they were sharing a room, and it was like a 2-bedroom house. They were sharing a room, and my wife and I were in the other room, and that's all we had. 2 rooms upstairs, and then downstairs, we had 2 rooms and a kitchen. So, I had to be in one of those rooms, but it was too small for me to keep up my booth, so I had to take it up and put it up and take it down every night. So that, and I couldn't store it inside because we didn't have any place to store it. So we had a little teeny, like built on, probably like, about the size that you're seeing here, little closet built onto the outside of the house. So I was able to put it in there. I got like a duffel bag, and I would stick all the PVC pipe and the blankets in there and the clips and stuff and close it up every night. And I had to be super quiet. But it was freaking hard. It was hard. It was tiring. I was so excited about growing my business, though, that it kind of made me feel like I wanted, I was going to push through it. But man, you guys, it's hard. So I looked at everything, and what I want to do is I want to kind of tell you what I did in order to get through that time, because it won't always be like that. Yeah, you're always going to be managing your business and your family and everything, but there'll be a time when you come through that period and you're going to be doing this full time, and there'll be that time. But right now, it's not that easy to do it. So where I'm going with this is I looked at the landscape and said, okay, there is a lot of business that happens during the 9 to 5 hours, right? That's just general. I worked all day, so that was not going to be me. So the first thing I want to give you is you've got to narrow your focus. Unfortunately, you cannot do everything that someone like I can do right now. You just can't. You have to accept that when you're first starting out and when you're managing all of these things, especially when you can only get a few, hours every night or day or whenever you go to work, whether you go to work in the evening or you go to work in the morning or ever how long, you've got to narrow your focus. And what I mean by that is you've got to I decided, and this is just where I started, I decided that I couldn't do anything like, for example, I couldn't spend my time doing work that involved people, interaction with people, because everybody was sleeping or they weren't working, right? So I had to choose something at that time that could be done over, multiple days, over a week or something, so that I didn't have to worry about, contacting people or calling them, because I was going to be calling them at midnight. So it inevitably led me to audiobooks, because I could go on a site like ACX, I could audition, I could get a message, and it wasn't timed. Sure, if you're given a contract, you're given about like 3 days or so to accept, but that was fine with me. You know what I mean? And then I had it over a period of time. But the point I'm trying to make is that audiobooks for me allowed me to have, 5 days, 7 days, 14 days to finish a job. This is when I was starting. I didn't have to deal with people, meaning like I didn't have to talk to people or even message people quickly. It could be 24 hours difference. Do you know what I'm saying? It could be at a different time. It wasn't right away. So by focusing on that, narrowing that focus, I was able to, I wasn't on Fiverr. I wasn't really doing anything on Fiverr. I wasn't on any pay-to-play sites. I wasn't auditioning anywhere else. I wasn't really doing any social media. I was doing nothing. But every single night after I got home from work, my wife and I made dinner or whatever we did, got the kids to bed, watched 30 minutes or an hour of TV with her or something and talked to her, put her to bed. come back down every single night. I put up my Hobo Fort. I auditioned and did audiobooks for ACX. That was it. I did that over and over and over and over again. I remember nights where I was so freaking tired that I was like falling asleep. And I want to tell you something. I'll never forget telling myself, forcing myself, if some of you are in that wasteland of audiobook wasteland, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like audiobook after audiobook after audiobook, and you just want a reprieve. I remember doing that at like 2 a.m. and having a deadline and trying to get it done and telling myself that I can, I just got to push through it. I got to freaking push through it. I felt horrible. I was tired. I was exhausted. I'm telling you this because it is the price we pay to get what we want. It's not free, and I know you know that, but we have to pay a price. And that price is this. It is the challenge. It is the time. It is the pain that we have to go through. Now, I can tell you one thing. It's sweet. It's sweet on the other end, right? It is. I promise you. I feel like I'm living a sweet life right now. But when I started, it was anything but. It was hard. My family, they probably suffered the most, meaning that they, the kids were young, so it was, and they're still young, but it wasn't as crazy for them. But my wife, that was hard. It's interesting, if you have a wife or a husband or a spouse and you're used to going, to bed with them every single night, not going to bed with them every night is weird. It changes. It changes you and your relationship and the dynamic of your relationship. But I'll never forget something Earl Hall said once a while ago, years ago or something. And he said that, he had to tell his wife that he had to do this or he was going to be miserable for the rest of his life. And I know it's going to be hard, but if I don't, I'm going to be nothing but a shell. And that's how I was. That's what was happening to me, right? So I had this unstoppable drive to keep going. And that's what I want to tell you, because I want to be straightforward, and this is no one in particular. But I see people who want to fulfill their dreams, but they're not willing to do things to get there. Right? They're not willing to put themselves out there on social media. They're not willing to stay up a couple extra hours to work. They're not willing to go through that pain. And by the way, when I mean pain, there's physical pain. And look, I mean, you might be in your 20s, but most of us are not in our 20s or even 30s anymore. We're in our 40s, 50s, or whatever, and 60s. It hurts staying up late. You know what I mean. It's not as easy anymore. It's not as easy to recover anymore, right? This is a real, today's live is all about reality. Because there's a lot of fluff out there, and people can tell you anything and make you feel like you can, get some secret hack that you can skip all of this work. And there's not. Sure, there's tips that you can enhance the time, and not spend as much time learning things. But when it boils down to it, you got to do the work. And it's tough. I keep saying it hurts because I remember the just being exhausted and when it hurts in your stomach. I'm not telling you to kill yourself. I'm just trying to tell you what happened to me and the reality. When people look at certain people and they think maybe they are successful or they make a success. I just know for me, I'm very happy what I've accomplished, but it was hard, and it continues to be hard, but it's different now because now I'm on a roll. So I wanted to talk about narrowing your focus because you cannot do multiple things at once. Also, pick a time. You need to pick a time. Sorry, I got about the story. But I want you to understand, I know if you're there right now, I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through because I've been through it. And you know what's funny is I still stay up late. I'm getting better. I'm trying harder now. But I can tell you this, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. After you do something for a couple of years, it becomes a habit. So staying up late was a habit. Not going to bed with my spouse became a habit, not because I don't want to, but because that's when I worked. So now the habit was I work all day at this and then I work at night. Anyways, I'm getting better. I'm trying to get better at the night thing, but it's hard because I got in a habit. So anyways, what I was talking about picking a time, here's another reality. You've got to pick a consistent time, a time every single day that you work. All right? Here's another real moment. You're going to argue with your spouse, with your family. Not because you don't love them and they don't love you. It's because this is hard and it's different. And a lot of times people can't see our dreams. They can't. They don't understand why seemingly maybe we have a great life, but we're not exactly happy inside. That's how I was. I had an amazing family. I had a good job. My wife has a good job. I have beautiful kids. But I wasn't fulfilled inside about what I was doing. And our families, people don't necessarily understand that. You know? I mean, it's hard. So, with that being said, you've got to pick a time. You've got to let your peoples know you love them, but it's what you have to do. And you say the same thing that I just said earlier about what Earl said, and you don't even have to say that, but you got to know it. Are you going to spend your life waiting to be fulfilled and not doing what you really want to do, or are you going to go through a little bit of a tough time in order to have a lifetime, the rest of your life, full of what you want to do? I promise you it's worth it. I'm sitting here telling you it is so worth it. At the time, it hurts. I don't know, this really turned into like a philosophical discussion, and I apologize. I wanted to give you some actual things too, and I think picking a time every single night, narrowing your focus to one thing. You know me, usually I tell you to spread out, do multiple sites, do different things, and I do believe in that, but not if you have a limited time and not if your schedule is tough. If you spread out so much, you won't get anything accomplished. You've got to block out all that noise and focus right into one thing and do everything you can to grow that until you can't grow it anymore. And then when that is successful and you have some momentum behind you and you have some breathing room, then you can move on to something else and put your time into that. And I tell you what's interesting is the audiobooks, they helped me grow my Fiverr account, because then I took everything I learned, all that hard work, all the effort, all of the clout, and all of the momentum, meaning like book after book after book after book after book after book. I had all these books I had done for ACX and on Amazon. Then I went over to Fiverr and I actually did a Fiverr gig about audiobooks. And lo and behold, the experience and everything I did grew my Fiverr account. And it was all based on one thing after another, but it was all based on that momentum from ACX. All right. Have goals. You've got to have your goals. Funny thing about goals is when you set a goal, you write a goal down and you work every single day towards that goal, it will change your life. Things happen. Opportunities pop up. If you don't write that goal down, plan it out. And this is essential. You have to write it down. I know it sounds weird to say, you got to write it down. It makes a difference. You'd be like, it doesn't really make a difference. He's just saying that for, because he wants me to write it down. No, it makes a difference. Like, really makes a difference. All right? It really makes a difference. You've got to get it down. You've got to get it on paper. You've got to plan it out. And every action you take has to be one step closer to that goal. Every action. All right? And then you will accomplish it. Whew. All right. Well, I have not looked at all at any of the comments. I've not looked at anything. So I'm going to dive into that. I want to thank you guys for being a part of that rant and how much it means to me to hear from a lot of you that are going through the same things that I went through. And I feel for you because I know it's hard. And I know what it's like to want something so much that no one can understand what's inside you. No one can understand how bad you want it. Some people can't even understand why you want anything different or why things aren't right for you right now when they feel like it should. I know what that's like. And then I know what it's like forever to hear all these people tell you you're wrong about what you're doing or you shouldn't do that. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to have a whole bunch of people tell you you're going to be a failure because you decided to do short audiobooks on ACX. I know what that's like. I know what it's like. But you know what? You can do it. I know you can because I did, and I know you can too. Let's dive into this, all right? Let's see what we got. We've got a lot of people super excited. We got Heath. What's up, Heath? On YouTube. We got Zabri. I think that's how I say it. On Instagram. DJ. On Instagram. We've got Boss. Scott on Facebook. Boss on YouTube. Katrina on YouTube. Eric on Facebook. We've got Venkaman on Facebook. Kevin. Nick. Woody. Walter on Facebook and Facebook. Kevin. We got people saying hello to each other. That's a good thing. Show you the funny. No cat meowing yet. Rich, it's good to have you, man. Good to see you there. Storm, it's good that you're here. Absolutely. Angela, good to see you, Angela. Marcus, not to mention balancing family. Yep, we talked about that. Angela, housework and chores. I have to say too to you guys, this is important. And I want to speak to, I'm gonna go out on a limb here because I'm gonna tell you something. I want to speak to the women. You all, we're all amazing, and men, you are too. But women, I have so much respect for you. The things and the work my wife does for our family is amazing. And I know that men and women are built differently. Our responsibilities should be the same. I believe that. And but without her, I couldn't have done this. So if you do have a spouse and you're having a hard time, with them getting on board, just remember that they will get on board with you. All right. Unfortunately, I found that the way it works is that you kind of got to prove yourself before people get on board, even our spouses. But when you do, they will. Sometimes you got to go out on a limb because people don't know what you're doing because you haven't proven anything yet. All right. But anyways, women, I just wanted to tell you I have a lot of respect for what you do. Let's see. Woody, Nick, Marcus. Yeah, my kitchen and laundry are lacking. I hear you. Nick, have to stay. I'm tempted about the Fiverr group and want to push Fiverr hard. I work Saturday, not being in the meetups would be a bit of a shame. Absolutely. Yeah, Nick, I understand. There is replays, unlimited replays for the Fiverr Elite group. So, that's cool. But I understand not being there does suck. Let's see. Woody, you're going to share your Fiverr jobs. Yeah, man, we're going to go for it. Katrina, I've been staying up until midnight, 1 to 2 a.m. Yeah. Iado, anything worth the struggle. The beep is a struggle in my belief. That's right. Good, just thug it out. I like that, Katrina. Yep. A 3-year-old is just icing on the insanity cake. Absolutely. Gotta just thug it out. Yeah. So I also, my daughter, until recently, thank goodness, she just was not a light sleeper, to put it mildly. I don't know if your children are light sleepers or heavy sleepers. My son, heavy sleeper. My daughter. So I would be recording, I'd be doing an audiobook and then hear, and have to go upstairs. It's okay. But it is worth it in the end, as I know you guys know. I gotta get to cracking. Angela, thank goodness mine is old enough to entertain themselves. Yeah, nice. Your work ethic has been relentless. Well, thank you, and you all can be too. Judy, hey Judy. Angela, the homework though. The homework. Yes, the homework. Getting my son to do homework. Now that would be the miracle right there. Let's see, Angela or Judy said, hey, Angela. Okay, I know I barely stay awake some days. I work 12-hour shifts, but I still rock this. By the way, if you have any questions, post it now as I'm going down the list. Let's see, this is great. This, that, real. Thank you. Preach. Thank you, Sabri. How did you adjust when you went, this is from Venker, how did you adjust when you went full-time and had loads of spare time? How do you stay motivated? Okay, I want to give you guys the real scoop. When I went full-time, I thought I was going to have loads of time. It's like the same. I feel now that, well, let me rephrase. I think after I went full-time, work was able to pick up because I was able to catch work. Here's a little tip. I was able to catch work when I couldn't before. So what happened to me, and I'll tell you the real icing on the cake and why I decided to go full-time in the end, was that I was losing more work being at my job. Like I was losing more money because I couldn't help clients that were contacting me in the middle of the day than I was staying at my job. Right? So if I was losing a couple $1,000s a week being at my job as opposed to, because I couldn't do it, that's when I decided that I needed to go full time. So when I went full time, all of that work kind of came in, and that's changed my schedule now. So I'm doing a lot now. But on a side note, because I am here, I made a promise to my wife, and that was if she did what she did, I promised her that when I was full time, I would help out a lot more too with different things. And so I take care of the kids. You know what I mean? I do the work like that. I got on at lunch today. I put on a roast for dinner. I'm able to handle more stuff around the house. It is nice. I got a haircut. I didn't have to ask to get off. If yesterday, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I slept a little bit. I slept yes, I work, but it is so different now because because I have my entire day. I decide what I do, when I do it, how I do it. Whereas before it was I had this amount of time, that was it. And if I didn't get it done, then I didn't work. And the rest of the time, all I did was think about doing that. So for like 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours a day, I thought about the 4 hours that I was going to work on my voiceover business. Okay, let's see. That was a good question. Just full time. Let's see. Good evening. How do you stay motivated? I don't know. The motivation thing's tough. I have a passion, man. I want to grow. I want to take my business. And I wish this the same for you, but I want to take my business and I want to grow beyond what anyone ever thought a voiceover business could be. Why? I just down in there. I don't know. Huzzah, I made it. David, this is awesome. John, this might be a stupid question, but is there a way to remove external noise from a recording? John, what in heaven's holy name? Yeah. I'm kidding. We're not talking about removing noise from an external noise from a recording. Yes, John, absolutely. There are many different ways. There are, if you can't do it meaning like you can't get any noise out by doing any proofing around your room or adding things, then there are many plugins there, depending on what DAW you use too. There's processing and things that you can do to get out noise. Absolutely. iAuto, by the way, those things like if you have RX7, that's great. Isotope is fantastic. And their denoise is great. If you have If you have Adobe Audition, there is the processing, like I think it's the multiband process. I'm not sure what processor it is, but you can eliminate a lot of noise that way. Plus there's NS1, which is another plugin. I believe that's from Waves. Those are all great plugins. I use some of them sometimes, but I'm very fortunate that I have a whisper room now. But by the way, when I first started, I had my Hobo Fort, and because we didn't have any other space, I was right about 5 feet away from my refrigerator, which whatever reason, my refrigerator decided to run all the time. It was like always running water. So, I'd be recording here. So I had to have some noise removing things. Let's see. Iato, if you can, how do you do continuity stuff so hard to snap back into the same tone? I'm thinking that what you're talking about is how do you go from one thing to another? And the answer is practice. Practice to have different styles, different tones that you can get into. Another challenge, honestly, this is on a side note. Another challenge is when you're having a hard day. Like, we'll snap out of that real quick. You're having a hard day. Having a hard day with your job. You're having a hard day with your spouse or a friend. You've had an argument and you feel miserable, and then you got to go into the booth and record. That's hard, but you've got to do it. You've got to be selfish in order to help others. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Okay? Because you've got to succeed. You just got to. All right. Preach man, talking my language. Thank you, Adam. I love books. The authors are so cool. Absolutely. David, the price indeed. I'm a truck driver who often works 13-hour days. I'm really counting down to the day I can leave the wheel behind. I hear you, David. It's awesome, man. Jessica, the family suffering the most is the worst part. I know it's tough. But just remember, you're going to be able to do so much more for your family when you go full-time, when this succeeds. I promise you. It is worth it. There is nothing better than a happy mother. A happy mom, a happy wife makes my life happy. And I know it will make their life happy. Trust me, it's worth it. It's just tough now, but you'll get there. Show you the funny. I like this video for the honesty. Absolutely. Thank you, man. Show you the funny. Yes, I feel the pain indeed. John Anthony is helping me tonight. It's an election in the UK and people are at a station trying to get me to vote for them tomorrow. They avoided me because it looks like I am in a video call. Any way I can help, John. Heath, I am feeling you here, brother. Right on point with the time management and the pain for no sleep. Absolutely, man. Walter, this needed to be talked about. Absolutely, man. Let's see. David, please don't ever apologize for the real sauce. Anthony, it's forever appreciated. Thank you. Show you the funny. Anthony, you're awesome, man. Thank you for the support. Absolutely, buddy. Rich, one step at a time. Yes. Woody, John, Anthony is a machine. You can't hit the target that you don't see. That's true. You got to have the goals. I think it makes a difference because having it in writing is a commitment. Absolutely. And I think there's been definitely studies about that, that people that actually write out their goals, it's crazy. It's like 70 or 80% more actually apt to fulfilling them. Eric, let's see. Sometimes building a business means motivation. Thanks for a big dose of motivation today. Absolutely, Eric. Let's see. Woody, cool thing about my full-time is I can talk openly about what I'm doing without having management consider my expedient egress. That's true. I could not. And that's that's true. I could not because, people would not be happy that I was doing that. And actually what happened was, the funny thing is, and I know this is awful and I would never, never recommend this, but it got bad towards the end where I dozed off at work a couple of times. I'm ashamed to say it, but I did. And I never have done that my entire life. But I was working so late and I was working so hard and there were so many things due. I was so full of business that it was just bad, and people would be like, people were getting concerned or they were getting angry too. Probably was too because I was on my phone dealing with customers. Because at the end I was like, forget it, I'm going full time, so I'm gonna have to deal with it. Storm, I'd had to force myself to get more sleep lately. 2 to 4 hours of sleep is just not good. Storm, I know it's not good, but there comes a time where you got to push yourself. And I never wanted to be those people where I said, you got to sleep less. You got to, you're not going to be successful if you only sleep 2 hours a night. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that only you can answer the question how much work you need to put in. That's what I mean. And if you realize that you've got to put in this amount of time to reach your goal, I want you to give it a shot at least. That's what I'm trying to say. Iato, you get used to less sleep. You do. It still hurts. But being a VO is like fishing. You get nibbles and then you get that big bite. You just need the right bait content to catch that gig. Yeah. Cheers, Hilton. Venker, I find that RX7 to clickers sometimes is overkills and affects the voice quality. You definitely you got to learn how to use your plugins. Absolutely. Sometimes they can affect it. Zach, love the refrigerator impression. Yeah. That's when like when that drops. I'm silly. JT Hall, what's up? When you do your videos with music for your content, what video editing software do you use? So I use a bunch of different things, JT. I have, of course, because I'm on a Mac, I have the old staple, which is iMovie, but I actually use Premiere a lot, Adobe Premiere. I like Adobe Premiere personally. That's what I use. The reason why I like Adobe Premiere is because it links automatically with Adobe Audition as well as Adobe After Effects. So I can, and Photoshop for all that matter, I can go back and forth and easily transfer things, separate music, add it. For example, if I'm working in Adobe Premiere with videos and music and I can automatically fix or do something in Adobe Audition with it. And then once I save it in Adobe Audition, it automatically updates in Adobe Premiere. So it makes the workflow a lot faster. Good question. Judy, I want so much to go full time. You can do it. You can do it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This went a lot longer today, so thank you all for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Just one more thing again, if you get a chance, check out the Fiverr Elite course. I will put the link down in the description. I know over in Instagram, I'll have a link. You can find it from the website as well. You can go to my website, www.avosjourney.com, and it's the first block there that you can see. But it's the Fiverr Elite group. We're starting this Saturday at 10 a.m. I'm very excited. I'm going to be diving in, and you're going to get a chance to learn from a top-rated seller, and we're going to dive into all that. So I'm excited. Check that out. I'd love for you to join. All right, guys, you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I will talk to you tomorrow. All right. See you later. Goodbye. Goodbye.